Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the True Off My Chest subreddit from Programmer Massive, who says, "My female 30, boyfriend male 40, refused to sign his divorce papers because his ex showed up with a baby bump. My boyfriend and I have been together for a bit over a year now. He was married before and they broke up because my boyfriend wanted children. This was a couple of years ago. Now they have been separated for 2 years and can start the divorce. When I met him, he was honest with me about him wanting children, a dream I shared with him. He hadn't seen or talked to his ex since the separation. We were supposed to get engaged once the divorce is finalized, but they both need to sign the papers or it could drag. I was worried that she wouldn't sign because from what I heard from my boyfriend's family, she's crazy about him and didn't want a divorce. Little did I know that it would come from him. I went with him to her lawyer's office where they would make it final. I wanted to support him. She wasn't what I expected. She wasn't devastated like my boyfriend's family expected. She looked serene, beautiful, lovely, and totally over my boyfriend. She had her hand on a very pregnant belly. She was pleasant to me and she basically knew who I was. She cared so little to even act like she didn't know anything about her soon-to-be exes and his new girlfriend. She admitted that she knew through mutual friends and that she kept following his news. She was happy that he looked happy. My boyfriend was shocked. She asked how he was. Instead of answering her, he started yelling at her and shaking with anger/anguish. He refused to sign the papers and told her he would make her life miserable. She was very distraught, but he told her to stop acting confused. She knew what she did, and he left. He even forgot that I was there when he left. I half apologized, but she said that I didn't need to. She apologized instead. Then her lawyer asked if he could drive her home because he didn't want her driving while shaking. He asked me if I too needed a ride. I said that I could take an Uber, but he insisted. The drive was awkward. I found out that her partner was away on business and they have been together for almost 2 years. When I got home, I was exhausted. My boyfriend didn't call or text or anything. I called his mum and she said to give him time because he loved me and to be patient because he just needed time. But what time? This was Thursday. Today he came with breakfast and said that he needed time. I asked if he was signing the papers and he said no. Then that he didn't want to talk about it but to trust him that he needed time. In other words, he doesn't want to discuss what happened with me. Edits the next day. I got her side of the story. I had a long talk with her and she was crying all the time and saying how sorry she was about what happened. They were together since they were 19 and very early both agreed that they didn't want children. They are both 40. About 4 to 5 years ago, she fell pregnant. He wanted to keep it, but she didn't. Their relationship deteriorated rapidly after the abortion. According to her, he was very broken afterwards and she tried everything to make it work. She loved him and didn't want a separation. He ended the marriage anyway because he said that he couldn't stay together anymore. For her, she too had trauma after the abortion. When she fell pregnant with a new boyfriend, she decided that she couldn't do it again and decided to keep the baby even if the relationship is very new. Her boyfriend seems to be very supportive, but she said even if he wasn't, she made the choice to keep her baby even if the father didn't want to be a part of it. So in other words, her abortion changed her as well as it changed my boyfriend. I believe her. She seemed very genuine. She said that she was happy that he'd moved on and that she thought that I seemed great because she hurt him and he was always a great husband and partner and deserved someone great and amazing like him. I told her that my boyfriend probably thinks that she wanted children, just not with him. She started crying. She said that she wouldn't blame him for thinking that and that he doesn't know how she would make him believe that it wasn't the case. That when she had the abortion and was regretful, she couldn't burden him with her trauma and tell him that because she didn't want to put more salt to the wound. That her regret came too little, too late. I don't know. I feel for her and for him. I want him to understand that things happen sometimes without it being someone's fault. She didn't reject him as a father to her children. Her experience with her own body is what changed, not her experience with him. Will he understand that and come to me? I love him and want him to know that I have chosen him. And we're starting the comments with Permanently Partial, who says, the lawyer sees a lot of people at their worst and he was worried about both of you, not just his pregnant client. Please care about yourself at least as much as a lawyer who could easily have let you take the Uber. Convivial Cat says, wait, he left you. He left you, just drove away and left you. Then went radio silent for days, and then just showed up and said you need to give him time. Holy crap, girl. Please pick up your dignity up off the floor, dust it off and start using it. He left you. I'm so gobsmacked you didn't just immediately block him on everything, because he showed you who he is. Believe him. No wonder the woman didn't want to have kids with this guy. He's wacko, and he threatened her in front of her attorney. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Will Say Anything says, so he's mad that his ex is pregnant by her partner, and he's announced that he's going to make her life difficult. Who knows the circumstances of her pregnancy? People change their minds all the time, but that doesn't excuse him deciding to be an ass towards her because she couldn't or wouldn't get pregnant while being in a relationship with him. And quotes, I asked if he was signing the papers and he said no. And then says, now all the plans you two had are out the window or on hold because he's so focused on being an ass. There's no way in hell I'll stay with this walking red flag. One, he's too old to be behaving like that, and there's no way your relationship isn't affected by this, unless you don't have any self-respect. And there were some questions that was sort of like before the edit as well. But then OP did come in with her update and says, I will make my update short. My boyfriend apologized and ended our relationship. He kissed me and told me that he loved me and that I deserve much better than someone like him. He realized that he wasn't ready to move on and bring an innocent third party to his mess. He needs time to heal before starting something new. Now he just wants to travel and have one night stands and live a single life. He apologized profusely. We met at the wrong time. He also said something that made me start crying uncontrollably. I felt that he would rather raise someone else's child than start a family with me, like we were planning and dreaming. He said he had asked about his ex and her life and a new boyfriend from mutual friends. They haven't been together for long, so there's a chance that the relationship doesn't work. He would then try to reconnect with her. Yes, that's his plan. I almost threw up listening to his wishful thinking. I told him to leave. He apologized again. He has not called or texted since. In the comments on that update, Divorce Life says refusing to get divorced because she's pregnant by another man and he wants to raise that baby is wild. You dodged a bullet. Even without the pregnancy, he was going to stay obsessed with her. Opie says he apologized to her and signed the paperwork. His mum said that he was just in shock, but he did it. Few Customer says, did you tell his ex? I feel like this kind of unhinged thinking is something his ex should know about to protect her and her baby. Opie says yes, I text her. She called me crying and she apologized for everything. She doesn't seem alarmed by his wishful thoughts. And I'm glad that final question did come up because I was certainly thinking about that towards the end. I think, wow, the ex needs to know about what he's thinking about here. It sounds really quite unhinged, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Automatic Border 791 and says, am I the arsehole for leaving my 24 male girlfriend 23 female to babysit alone when she never asked me to stay? My girlfriend babysits for her cousins on her days off a few times a month for extra cash. I tend to help out when I'm also off, or after work if they're still there, because I'm an older sibling from a big household and do well with kids. She says it's because I'm still half a kid myself. Yesterday I got a text from her, asking me if I would like to come over. I get to her place and we chat for a while, all while she keeps trying to offer me a beer or a drink, which I continuously turn down, because I had plans with my dad that night, a late birthday celebration, since it was raining like piss out a boot on the actual day. She didn't say anything about it, but looking back I think she made a face, but I'm not sure. We hung out a bit more and I still had 2 hours before I had to go pick up my dad and her cousin pulled up. Unsurprising, it's my girlfriend's day off. She handles the kids well. Well then, instead of the usual 2 children, there were 5. Apparently one of the kids wanted to have a sleepover at their aunt's house and invited 3 friends. My girlfriend kept staring at me from the corner of her eye, and I knew she wanted me to cancel my plans with my dad to take care of these kids, and I waited for her to ask, or to say anything about it. But she didn't, so I didn't. I tried to help while I was there, took her dog outside and tried to wear them down racing him, lol, and then ordered pizza. They weren't bad kids or even very rowdy, mostly excited. I left at around the time I had originally intended, and my girlfriend didn't say anything but clearly wasn't happy. The night with my dad went great but uneventful. This morning I woke up to a text from her. I've never felt as disrespected as I do right now. You were meant to be my partner and you abandoned me. I needed your help and you left me here to fend for myself. What did I do to deserve that? Do you hate me? Followed by another text saying, I think we need to talk in person. OP continues, I'm honestly kind of angry myself. The more I think about it, she signed up to watch 5 children and then got angry when she had to watch 5 children. But then I wonder if I'm being too harsh because I do help out whenever I'm there, pretty often. So there was a certain standard set in her head that I would help. I don't know. I think I would just like to hear the opinions of strangers before I have this talk and do something I regret because I think she's being unfair. Am I the arsehole? Hell no, not the arsehole in this situation. Firstly, she's the one who decided to take on 5 children, didn't tell you about it, knew you had plans with your dad as well, so that's disrespectful in itself. And, I can't guarantee, but it kind of felt like the way it was written that she was trying to get him to have this alcohol so then he couldn't leave. But Tempting Penguin says, not the arsehole. 1, bad communication. She should have asked if she wanted you to stay. And 2, more alarmingly, it sounds like she was offering you drinks to get you to stay. And she apparently thinks it's all good to have a buzz/drunk person babysitting children. OP replies saying, to be fair to her, I don't drink excessively ever. And if I were to have had more than a sniff of beer, I wouldn't feel comfortable driving for both the obvious as well as personal reasons. She had no reason to be concerned I would get sloppy drunk around the kids. Still don't like that she did that, don't get me wrong. I just don't want people to think she was trying to have a party with them there or something, lol. This cat says, not the arsehole, but your girlfriend is. She could have very easily not offered to watch 5 children by herself. She also could have used words and asked you to stay, which almost makes her the arsehole because you had plans with your father. You didn't sign up or get paid to be a babysitter. Please, she kept trying to get you to drink, so no, not the arsehole. Saint and Villain says, not the arsehole. You should be incredibly angry at your girlfriend. 1, she voluntarily signed up for babysitting without telling you, but expected you to just go along with it. 2, she expects you to disappoint your dad to babysit kids you never agreed to babysit. 3, she literally tried to give you alcohol to make you stay. She knew if you drank, you wouldn't leave. 4, she refuses to communicate with you until after the fact. 5, she reflected on this entire situation and only sees fault on your end. Your girlfriend is dramatic, needy, self-important, and childish. And one final comment from Sugar who says, not the arsehole, let's run this down. 1, she committed to watching 5 kids and didn't tell you. 2, she tries to put you in a situation where you didn't feel comfortable driving to trap you into helping her. 3, she tried to make you miss an outing with your dad for his birthday. That's just so gross. 4, instead of using her big girl words and asking you for help, like an adult, she tried to manipulate you and force you into doing what she wanted. Either way, this really makes me wonder how much she's done this in the past and gotten away with it because you didn't notice. And surely someone who loves you wouldn't do that to you. Sarcasm at the end. 5, instead of accepting her fate and realizing she bit off more than she could chew, she chooses to make you the bad guy and treat you poorly. OP, none of this is okay. I really hope you realize that. This isn't how a good partner acts or treats you. I'm not saying you need to break up, although those red flags do be red, but you definitely need to set boundaries and have a talk about good communication, respect for each other, and how you did absolutely nothing wrong, and you'll be hearing her apology now. Good luck, OP, and don't let her gaslight you into thinking that any of this is your fault. So then, OP did come in with her update and said, so you guys really helped me see some things I hadn't considered before. Someone mentioned that The offering me a beer to get me to stay was pretty insidious, and that they wondered how many times she did it and I just didn't notice. That made me think. I started thinking back to how many times I was already there, either having a drink on the couch or working on something for her. And her cousin's kids showed up either out of the blue or my girlfriend forgot to mention that they would be there. It made me wonder how much of my decision to help babysit for free was actually my idea. I didn't love the idea of being manipulated, but I figured honestly it was a harmless enough case, and if we talked about it and she apologized, it would be no big deal. So when I went over to her place the next day, I was pretty calm. We had texted a little back and forth on the phone, but nothing big because I think we both wanted to talk in person. She was crying before I got there. We sat down and she started us off. Why did you leave me? So I asked her why she didn't ask me to stay. She said that she knew I knew, and that I was smart enough to know that she would need help with 5 children. So I asked if I would have gotten any of the money, and she looked angry and started going on about how she didn't know I'd fallen on such hard times and that she would go in her purse. I rolled my eyes at that, immature I know, and asked if she tried giving me the beer so I wouldn't leave, and she looked shocked for a minute before answering no. That was so obviously a lie, I just moved to the next question, asking if she had done it before. She started looking angry again and said that if I really thought she would do that, we shouldn't be in a relationship. I knew she was being facetious, but honestly, I was so done at this point you could stick a fork in me. So I took her up on it. I hadn't intended to break up with her, but suddenly, when I was given the opening, I realized I kind of wanted to. I still love her, don't get me wrong, but this wasn't the first time she screamed like that. Though it usually wasn't at me. I just didn't want to hear it anymore. She messaged me the next day apologizing and asking if I saw a future for us. But when I said no, she dropped it. Her mum and dad came to my work, and I don't know if it was just hilarious timing or if they wanted to say goodbye. We had a pretty good talk, and they confirmed there are no hard feelings with them. I didn't ask about my ex because it didn't feel proper, but they offered that when she had talked to them, she had been really embarrassed about the breakup. They were hinting that they wanted to know why, and I just shrugged. I wasn't sure how they would respond, and I didn't want to get either of us in hot water with them or accidentally start up some kind of reconciliation attempt. Thanks for the help. I think it would have been interesting if OP did say what exactly happened during that, about the whole alcohol thing and it potentially being a pattern of what's happened before. Because clearly the girlfriend was going to say anything about it because she knew she was wrong. But I certainly don't blame OP for jumping on the breaking up when it was thrown in his direction. I think she initially just said it to try and get a reaction out of him about it. Like, oh no, we shouldn't break up or etc. But he was like, no, sounds like a good plan to me. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you do if you was OP? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, truly. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.